Welcome to University Centre Peterborough Creating Presentations module. In this module you will develop knowledge on how to create a professional presentation. The content includes how to structure your presentation, design and the software packages you might need. In addition, we'll also look at audience interaction. Throughout your life, both professionally and personally, you are going to be required to make presentations. This could also be if you're setting up a business and you want to encourage new clients or customers. If you develop the skills to confidently, effectively and professionally deliver a presentation, you can influence how others view you and how they act. Getting your point across in a structured and interesting manner is paramount for success. A presentation can capture the audience's attention and the imagination as you're telling a story. The quality of your presentation is crucial, including content, resources that you employ, and your delivery. In order to be successful in giving presentations, you need to appear confident, natural, and convincing when you present your ideas or speech. It's not enough just to have the great content. During your time at UCP, you will be asked to make presentations. We appreciate that the idea of this may cause stress, and the aim of this module is to help reduce your anxiety. Often, if you're asked to create and deliver a presentation, the exact intention can be unclear, so preparation for making a presentation is similar to preparing to write a report. You want to identify what reason the presentation is, so that you can tailor it appropriately to focus on the key areas. You're going to look at providing information. Do you need to train people or explain? Are you reporting, demonstrating or informing? Are you sharing information or are you reviewing the development and encouraging progress? Do you want to instigate an action or create a discussion or debate? Are you trying to persuade somebody, challenge views or sell a product? Alternatively, are you trying to motivate, encourage or enthuse or develop support for an idea? You need to ensure the presentation matches the audience's needs. So at the end of the presentation, the audience will have learnt something. Your question therefore is, at the end of this presentation, what will the audience have learnt? Once you've identified the reason for your presentation, you can formalise your presentation objectives. Have these checked by the person requesting the presentation to confirm your understanding of what is required. Once that's done, you can now create the presentation that will meet the needs of your audience. Ensure you include a slide that summarises what the objectives are, so that your audience will know what to expect. You're going to need to consider a few areas relating to your audience. Who are they? What are their roles, their status, the size of the group, professional backgrounds or prior knowledge? How much time can they give you? Even their age range might indicate different experiences they've had. Ask yourself, why are they in the audience? What are they expecting and how much detail do they want from you? Once this is identified, you can ensure you deliver what your audience is expecting. You also want to consider what you want your audience to do. Do you want them to change their mind, buy or sell a product, act in a certain way, or change their behaviour? You may not know some of the information regarding your audience until you're in front of them. So you can consider adding a slide to remind you, and ask the audience, what prior knowledge do you have about, and whatever the subject is. However, some presentations it is impossible to ask, so in these cases you can assume that the audience has no knowledge. Just as in writing a report, the structure of your presentation takes a similar format. You're going to say what you're going to say, then you're going to say it, and then you're going to say what you said. If you're looking at the outline, you've got the purpose of your presentation and you know what you want to achieve. So the outline now needs to anticipate the questions you may be asked and insert these into the presentation. So you'll start with possibly greeting the audience and introducing yourself. And then you'll give them a hook, and we'll explore this further shortly. You'll introduce what your objectives are, signposting what you're going to say. You'll create the body of the information and also include any specialist terms that you may need to define. You'll cover the main points, providing supporting evidence and links between ideas. And you'll do little mini summaries before moving on to the next topic. At the end, you'll do a summary and a catchy close, thank your audience and ask for questions. Many people find the opening of the presentation the most difficult part. So simply starting with something along the lines of, good morning, welcome to wherever, my name is, and I'm from. I'm going to talk about. The hook, though, encourages your audience to understand why this is important, and you're hooking them into your presentation. It could be a question or a shock statement, or it could be a 30-second message to introduce your presentation. So let's have a look at the question. You can simply say, let me ask you a question. By show of hands, how many people in this room believe that? And you could add whatever the statement is, such as, we should pay more tax to pay for the increased environmental strategies. A shock statement, or a shocking statement, is where you find something that will grab their immediate attention. It helps identify the hook if you can ask yourself, what is the most amazing or curious or remarkable or shocking, funny, exciting or inspirational element of this topic? The 30-second message is where you explain the main purpose within 30 seconds, a bit like an elevator pitch. So you would start with, I'm going to talk to you today about, you'll see that in Germany, they might be addressing this in a different way, and now this is impressive. You're going to pause, and then you're going to tell them what you want to persuade them to do. Research shows that what people actually remember is information if it's conveyed in a story. In order to structure your story, you need to understand exactly what your audience is. So who are they? What will they relate to? And what's important to them? Then you're going to summarise in 2 short sentences. So what question will you be answering? Aim to evoke an emotion, no matter what that emotion is, because emotion will tie in to helping them remember your story. By setting the scene, you're providing the beginning, the middle and the end. So you tell them what the problem is or what the issue is that you want to have addressed. You're going to make your point and give them an opportunity to reflect. And then leave them with something to consider. It might be a call to action, such as, if you feel this is an injustice, what will you do about it? You then want to create a memorable ending to your presentation. Now this is before we ask if there are any questions. And there are a variety of ways you can do this, and here is just a few of them. Then you're going to thank your audience and ask for questions. Now that we have the content, we want to look at the key design considerations. We want to ensure that your audience can fully engage with your presentation. Consider the background and the writing. A dark background and a contrasting text is advisable. White backgrounds tend to create a strong light on the screen and can cause eye difficulties with reading difficulties for your audience. Consider the layout. A single line title rather than a title that goes over 2 lines. Images that don't distract from your text. And text that doesn't go to the very edges of the slide. Look at the text selection and the size. You want to do 1 line of thought or subject per slide. And really, there should only be about 6 lines per slide. Use just 1 font, preferably an easy read, such as Arial or Comic Sans. Don't use more than 3 font sizes consistently throughout your presentation. So it will be a larger header, slightly smaller for the body of the text, and then for smaller bullet points, That'll be the third size. Avoid putting red, yellow and green all together because some of your audience may have colour blindness or difficulties in differentiating between the colours. Bullet points tend to have only around 8 words or less in each bullet point, so try to be concise and brief. Looking at the animation, be mindful if this will distract from the information that you're trying to give. Also, transitions for your slides. It can be quite off-putting when there is a continual dissolving of a slide to wait for the next one, and your audience can either lose interest or find it frustrating. With pictures, use files that are less than 100 KB so that you can ensure your presentation isn't slowed by excessive size of a file. With charts and graphs, use the whole slide for each one, making sure the colours contrast with the background and the text can easily be seen. If there's too much information, you may need to consider providing this as a handout. You can see on the slide we've got 2 slides that really wouldn't pass a suitable written presentation. There are numerous free packages out there to help you with your software and your presentation. Presentation software will allow you to create interactive slide-based presentations. They can either be created from generic or custom templates that will allow you to include themes for the slides. Your software should allow you to create slide-based presentations, enable you to edit, allow you to animate as you want to, and enable you to embed images, videos, audio and text. There are numerous free packages available. Here are just some of the ideas, and links are provided in the Canvas course and also through the PDF. A good visual aid will add interest, support your explanation, be memorable, and prompt you as a presenter so that you do not need to keep looking at a script. A picture can paint 1,000 words. But you need to bear in mind that your visual aid must be memorable, relevant, and well organised. There are a couple of golden rules when it comes to images. Make sure they're clear and not pixelated, blurry, or poorly stretched. Avoid distracting images such as those with swirly backgrounds. Don't overcrop an image, keep it a good size for your audience. Limit the number of images you can see per slide because this can cause confusion if there are too many. Make sure that image adds value. Any writing as well as on the image must both be clear to read and clear for the audience to see from the back of the stage. People and animals should face into your slide to emphasise interest. So if you have a look at the image with the runners on, we've got a runner going out of the screen and we've got a runner coming into the screen. The runner coming into the screen implies interest. You also need to consider copyright with the images you're using, attributing the image to the author where appropriate. With graphs, these are needed often to demonstrate a trend or provide a comparison or summarise complicated data. But make sure they don't distract the audience away from what you are saying. In addition, ensure they are correctly labelled. Some people use flip charts to provide pre-prepared notes or record points as they go or note down any questions. Be mindful that in large audiences, flip charts are useful in breakout groups to collect ideas, but their size and their height can limit those who can see them in the main room, and they can act as a bit of a trip hazard, especially if you're the presenter and not paying attention. And if they're being written on by you as a presenter, you will at times have your back to the audience. Audience participation ensures engagement and allows you to measure views or understanding. There are numerous online tools that will allow your audience to participate without having to raise their hand or coping with a microphone or speaking out. The advantage here is it will help anybody who's worried about interacting with you in front of a large audience. There are lots of different softwares, and here are some examples that you can try, but you need time to learn the new technology and an opportunity to practice. What we would suggest is every time you do a presentation, give yourself the opportunity to practice while you're at UCP. Handouts are particularly important for the audience, allowing them to take notes or referring back to them at a later date. But consider what you want the handout to physically do. Do you want it to provide background information, be a copy of the slides, summarise? This will then allow you to decide when do you issue it. Do you send it out when you send an invitation, so prior to the presentation, at the beginning of the presentation, or at the end? Handouts can be printed, but companies more often now provide PDFs electronically to reduce the environmental impact. So we've had a look now at how to create a professional presentation. There is also a module relating to how to present a presentation. If you're a student, staff member or alumni of University Centre Peterborough and would like additional support, please contact the Employer Hub at peterborough.ac.uk.